So let's actually talk a little bit about electromagnetic frequencies. Thanks, Angela. And the impact that it can have not only on electrical stuff around you, but also actually on your own system. So that's actually quite a nice sort of key in. And then what I'd like to share with you all is kind of what's going on now. The divination that came through for the group, which is really interesting because I feel it's going to really support us, especially in this next month. And there's key things that I feel that's going to be going on for you that when I share this with you is going to help you navigate that process a bit better as well. In the light of everything that's kind of going to start playing out a lot more on the world stage and therefore impact all of us as we get triggered by what's going on. Let's start with the light. So when you're running light frequencies through you, so for example, if you are either receiving light technology, so whenever I facilitate a transference healing session, which is always over the new moon that I do with you guys, that's got light technology through it. When I'm working with my holographic blueprint sessions, that has light technology through it. When I'm working with my crystal worker grid journeys, that has light technology running through it. So whenever I'm working with those sort of technologies, there's a light, there's electromagnetic light. Now that light is also alchemical. So what I mean by that is that it impacts, physical matter as well. And so you have two main electromagnetic generators, as it were, around you. One is around your brain and one is around your heart chakra, your heart space. And so we are essentially electromagnetic beings. But it was really only in around 1999 when there was a massive shift, and then fully anchored in 2012 on the planet, where our light bodies, which are electromagnetic, it's the electromagnetics that literally create the light body, that our light bodies basically came on board for the majority of the population. And so now we have anchored, everybody on this planet has anchored their light body. If they're living now on the planet, they have anchored their light body. So what we are all working towards is the integration of our light body. And for some, it's then going one step further than just the integration. It's actually the anchoring and the embodiment of their Christ body. But all of this involves light, and all of this involves either like the full integration of the light body or the crystallization of our light body. And so the more that we can run light body technology through us, the more that it supports us, because we're running energy that's fully in alignment and fully supportive of what is going on energetically within our body, light body and system. So as you integrate more light and you have more of that electromagnetic energy running through you, you are more impactive around to systems that have light, which is basically electromagnetic systems which have like electricity. So what that means, it can go a little bit haywire at times with that. And I'm sure some of you have had those sorts of situations where, I don't know, I mean, literally like your phone is turned off and then it suddenly turns on again. How is that possible? Maybe you've been in a room and the light bulbs have just gone really weird, or they've just gone dead, or your computer starts to go very weird. And from my experience anyway, when your light body's doing certain things, it's going through certain phases, there's something going on, maybe there's a light body activation going on or something, there's more of a charge running through you. And with my throat going again, mind you, there's a lot of smoke. It went the other day. something wrong with my throat generally, but I think it must be the channel opening up in a different way. I'll just move that a little bit out. Excuse me. And so you do have that impact through that, but also what you're going to need to be aware of more and more is that as you build your light body, and especially as you crystallize your light body, so as you're working more on that level of, you know, working towards the anchoring of your Christ body and the embodiment of your Christ body, which is like a whole nother journey that we go through as souls, you can be impacted by other electromagnetic fields, you know, like electrical stuff, Wi-Fi and whatever, because it's distorted. It's actually distorted. It's not pure. And so, you know, it's just something to be aware of, and just, you know, you may find that you might need to use a little bit of technology to support you in terms of grounding stuff, so you can get earthing sheets or like earthing mats. So when you're working at the computer, you can stand on the mat, or you can have it under your keyboard, or, you know, just there is technology out there, and that I feel that technology will grow, continue to grow, as humanity does become more and more aware that these systems can be quite distortive to you. It's not to give you a power wave over to it, but it's just to have an awareness and just check in and see whether you feel you may be getting a little bit impacted in that way, you know, with the Wi-Fi or whatever. And there's, you know, there's stuff that you can do to support yourself on that. So I just wanted to make yourself aware of that. Another great antidote for all of that is crystals. So you'll often see me wearing some sort of crystals, crystal jewelry. That's how I like to use it, because it's not necessarily beautiful, but it's actually supporting, hugely supportive to you. So also having like crystal grids in your house as well, really supportive, or just having crystals around you. And I'm sure pretty much all of you do anyway. But it's just knowing and understanding how much they support you. And one of the reasons that crystals do that is that they're pretty much the only object that we have on this planet that actually works both just like on the physical level, but also on an electromagnetic level. So it supports that electromagnetic, the pure electromagnetic energy, you know, within your own body. Okay, so let's just go on to now what is coming up. Now, I spoke quite a lot of that in my Ascension Vortex group this week, and also in White Snake Magic. So very briefly, just to say that we are now coming up to the most intense next couple of months, really. It kind of starts now, really, the lead up to it, I feel, and then really kicks in with the eclipse, and then builds up to the December solstice. It's going to get very rapid, okay? So this year was the turning point. The whole year was a turning year, as it were. Solstice was the turning point where it flipped. The energy flipped more to more of a positive. But now, these last 3 months are really the most intense months out of the whole year. So obviously we've been tracking this every month, haven't we? And I've been sharing with you what's been going on, supporting, you know, each one of us to ride the wave. It's just the waves are now getting higher. The waves are coming in quicker, and they're getting higher. So it's really just continuing to ride that. And this is what I want to share with you in the cards that came through for the group, because I think it's very, very indicative of where we are as a soul group right now and your path as a light worker. So first thing to say is that, and I did talk about this in White Snake Magic, was when we're talking about being a light worker, what we're really talking about is your ability to literally channel light technology through you. And when I'm talking about light technology, I'm talking about um, light technology that includes, we're talking about Merkaba technology, we're talking about alchemical light technology, we're talking about gridding technology. It has an impact. It creates a ripple effect. It's not the fact that someone says that they're a light worker that actually makes them a light worker, right? Not in the truest sense. And I don't want to be dishonoring in that, but I feel there has to be some kind of understanding that it's just because you say that you're a light worker doesn't actually mean that you're really, truly, in the purest sense of the word, channeling light through you. Because when you're channeling light through you, it's challenging, right? Like every time, because I'm holding a big space for a lot of people, every time I lead up to doing this, I go through a lot of purification, right? There's a lot of purification that comes up for me to even be able to facilitate these healings, these upgrades to the most potent potential for everybody, right? Because the amount of light that I can channel through is directly related to how pure I am. And I don't mean like what I'm eating or anything like that. That's not what I mean. I mean pure as in the amount of distortion and clearings that I've done within me. Now, that never stops, right? As long as I have a physical body, that will never stop. So that means I'm always purifying. I am always clearing. I am always going through that releasing process, which is why I'm very, very strong and supporting people to understand the importance of purification, and the importance of releasing, and the importance of letting go and shifting on all four planes of your beingness. So every time I come up to running energy, running light technology, I will always go through a level of purification. So there will be like, I often experience like a pressure cooker inside of me, building up. I may well go through learning curves. I may well go through, triggers in the lead up to it, as I'm sure many of you as well will have done. That in part is part of my own purification process, and in part it's support me to be able to support you, because I'm going through it myself, so I'm understanding, different stuff that's going on. And so that's the black ray, right? So you have to be able to work with the black ray. You have to be able to and you have to be able to hold a space within yourself to do that as well. It's raven power. It's very much the high priestess energy. So where was I? Yes. So that to me is really what a true light worker is that ability to do that and to be continually devoted, because it is a devotion, right? If an outsider looked in and saw what you personally have to go through to do that, they probably think you're a little bit crazy and would think that's not really necessarily a very easy path. But I do believe, and again, which is what I was talking with the White Snake Magic, that it is a path of devotion. There gets a point in your ascension process where that is your priority. That it comes from so deep within you that that's the thing that you put first, because that's where you are in your ascension journey. It's just where you are. And so you also understand that when you get to that point, that as a light worker, you part of your service work will involve the running of light frequencies through you. Now that can take a myriad of different forms, right? Because a lot of people classically think that it's this in this kind of environment, but it's not at all. You have light workers in all different fields, in all different environments, who channel their light through, that physicalize in all different ways, right? But the process that they go to do that and what they go through is an internal job. It's a huge process that they have to go through, that whenever they're channeling it in that moment, they will have to have gone through a lead up of purification to enable that to happen. So know that when there's a deep purification going on for you, and if you are in an environment where you are of service to others, and that could be, in service to your family, that could be in service to your friends, that could be, you could be holding a community, there could be, all sorts of different ways of being of service, that you will be going through those purifications. And it's really to the point where you really recognize that and understand that and go with the flow, that it becomes easier because you have the consciousness to understand that's what's going on. But you still have to do it. You still have to go through it. But you have the awareness of knowing that that's what's going on. And that in itself is a blessing. And also it's a blessing because it's supporting you to purify, of course, as well. Which is why as you get stronger in that, your light will naturally impact more and more people, because you're creating a bigger ripple, right? Because you're able to hold more light and channel through more light in that. So it's pretty clear, I feel. It becomes quite obvious then, really, what's going on. And when someone says they're a light worker, and when there's not a light worker, you really just got to see what's going on in their life and the space that they're holding for others. And it's pretty clear. I feel it's pretty clear what's going on in that. So what came through with the cards, and this is why I'm kind of sharing this with you, although it has been a common theme all week, and I'm so glad the cards came through to kind of support that even more, and again provides that confirmation, is that all of you are, and that's including me, we are all coming into another level of being a light worker. So wherever you are right now, there's a new level birthing for you, I feel. And I feel it's triggered by what's coming up in these next few months. Like I said, it's going to be pretty chaotic out there. A lot of triggers for a lot of people. And probably you'll be triggered yourself, depending on how much you can detach, which I'll talk about in a moment. So, in a moment about that. So, what's happening is, and again, I feel it's going to be probably a lot around the financial stuff going on. It's going to be a lot about that, and around security associated with that. So Chiron and Taurus, you're probably going to be extra triggered by that. And obviously we've got the food stuff going on with the food supplies and all of that, so that's a bit trigger, a lot of inflation, but you know where I'm going. There's going to be a whole shift going on. So what's happening is the old is crumbling, right? You've heard me talk about this a million times, and that's going to be the same for the financial institutions. There's going to be a sort of crumbling and a moving over to a new way. But what we have to be aware of is in that movement to the new way. You need to be very discerning, let me put it that way, that it's not just the same, but just looking like it's new, right? So it just be aware, let me just say, just be aware of your sovereignty in that, and be very clear about your sovereignty, and be very discerning in your sovereignty around that, and just don't, just follow your intuition. Just because someone says something and that said that, this is a good thing, just be aware and tune in and follow intuition around that. All of that being said, the big picture is there's a movement from the old to the new. It's going to create a lot of fear in people, and a lot of feeling of issues around stability, feeling insecure, and there's going to be probably a lot of projections because people are feeling fearful, and they're feeling, and so therefore, unless someone's really aware, there'll be some sort of projection, or they'll really shut down, or the ego can kind of really goes into a very strong holding pattern, and then when it does that, decisions are made out of fear or feeling shut down, as opposed to decisions being made out of really feeling and being in your sovereignty, and tuning in to your intuition and being guided what really feels right, but just knowing that those feelings could be coming from the fear. So it's very much a discernment, and I feel that over the last couple of years we've we really had to go through a lot, and the more you work on your introspection, the more you work on going within, the more you know thyself, right? And the more you know thyself, the more you can discern. But you can only do that by going within and just keep on going for the clearings, and just learning to understand yourself and what's really going on for you. So we've got all of this playing out, or will start to really play out, and just kind of build. Different countries, different things will go on. There'll be all sorts of stuffs going on within all of that. And so, one, by being aware of that, my hope is that it's going to support you to stay detached. Super, super important. Now, and this is where, as a light worker, is going to come in. So let me explain this. So if you start to get too attached to what's going on outside of you, what's going on in the outer world, kind of how you're being impacted by that, and then you're starting to just get caught up in that negativity, you're going to kind of get locked in at that vibration, which therefore means your intuition is not going to be as spot on, because you've got caught up in a lower vibration. But actually, and more important for you, as a as someone who's spiritually aware and really consciously on your ascension journey, is that it's going to kind of, I feel, stop you from taking your next level, next step into being that vessel as a light worker. And the reason is that if you're locked in to that lower vibration and not really, really detached, and not being able to see the big picture and staying detached in it, and then really just following through for your own guidance and staying balanced in all of that, you're not going to be an anchor of light for others, because you're not being an anchor of light for yourself. So have to lead yourself first, and through that you can then step into supporting others. And this is what these cards that came through are really talking about. So we got Echidna, Crocodile, and undying. So the echidna is all about attachment, and it's all about compassion. So this is really, I think we're going to have to be really pulling on each one of us, the echidna, very, very strongly in the upcoming months. So what the echidna is doing, it doesn't go out on attack, does it? It doesn't like shoot off those those porcupine spines everywhere. So the echidna is a bit like a hedgehog kind of energy, right? Or porcupine energy. So it kind of just rolls up into a ball and is just naturally self-protected. And the echidna is an ancient animal. It's Australian, and it's very grounded, and it really resonates a huge amount of compassion. And so by pulling on the echidna energy, it's supporting you to stay energetically and emotionally detached from others and from situations. This is so, so important. So these could be like the events I'm talking about playing out globally. But of course, these events playing out globally, even if you're not watching the news, or you're staying very, very detached from it all, and you're getting on with your own life, and you're building new earth, you still have a community to support, or friends to support, or family to support around you, or in the workplace, as a light worker, because you're of service. So what that means is that these people, even if you're not, those people could well be. So, or will be, right? And so there's going to be a lot of this kind of freak out, chaotic fear energy playing out. And for a lot of people, that could even be subconscious, or they're not really aware of how it's running through their patterning. So they could be doing all sorts of different things, like projecting out, or really shutting down, or getting addicted to certain things, or whatever they're doing to try and escape or release pressure within themselves, so they don't have to deal with it within themselves, basically. And so what's going to happen is that as a light worker, in that true sense, as you're running energy, or just in your in service, is just supporting, just by being there, listening to them and counseling, or just talking to them. It's really important that you stay detached energetically and emotionally. And so that means being able to share your truth when it feels right to share your truth, but then being energetically detached from the outcome of what their choices are in that. And even if they may even project back to you because of just how you're holding yourself and what you're saying about these situations. Do you see what I mean? So there's going to be different levels around that. So it could be just around being detached from what's going on outside of you. So if you're managing to do that, then it's about being detached emotionally and energetically enough to share your truth when it feels right to share your truth. Or it could also be staying emotionally and energetically detached from when you have shared your truth and you're getting projection from that. Any of those scenarios, which are all part of the learnings involved around holding your light, being of service within that. And of course, if you're a light worker in its truest sense, where you're actually energy and frequency and light is channeling through you, whatever you say or do is going to have an even bigger impact, right? And so therefore that ripple effect will impact others, and so therefore there may be that negative energy coming back a little bit. So the echidna is basically saying you are protected. You are protected. Just whatever you do, do not get detached to that situation, to that person, to the events playing out, or even do not get caught up if you are feeling the negative being, thrown back at you. Do not react to that. Do not react to that. Stay detached. And this is where the compassion comes in. So the compassion is like, you've got unconditional love. Like the next step is compassion, because compassion is literally where you've got that, you're actually staying detached enough. You're not actually going in trying to rescue. That can take a huge amount of compassion, where you can see the big picture enough for what's going on to know, actually, in this situation, it's not actually right for me to step in. And that's actually that's a lot of compassion within you that you need to have mustered to not step in sometimes. It also takes a huge amount of compassion within you when things are playing out and your lot of stuff's being thrown at you, and to not retaliate back. That takes a huge amount of compassion. And so for some of us, this is the frequency of compassion that we're being invited to step more into as part of our role as a light worker. Right? Now, the next card that came on was Crocodile, which is basically saying very much the similar thing. So the crocodile is archetypal energy. And what it's saying is that when the crocodile energy comes through, it's often when you're giving advice, or you got wise to the point that you're giving advice, you're giving counsel to loved ones, to family, to friends, and you're able to stay detached enough to actually see what's really going on for that person, not necessarily what that person's saying, because often what someone's saying is not actually what's really going on, because what's really going on is deep within their subconscious, within their psyche, that they can't get hold of and they can't see. And so if you feel guided to share a different perception, a higher perception to them, that's very much that crocodile energy. You're pulling on that crocodile energy to support them to kind of understand different archetypal energies that might be running through them that they're not really aware of. But then, of course, within that, one, you've got to be able to be detached enough from them to be able to see it from that higher perspective. And then, of course, when you tie that in with the echidna, it's saying you've got to be able to hold the compassion to literally sometimes share your truth and literally walk away energetically walk away, in that you don't get dragged down if they're negatively, either there's a lot of negativity around them, or they're literally projecting to you. And remember that projection doesn't have to be vocal, it doesn't have to be audio. They could be thinking those thoughts and feeling that, and so you may well be picking up on that if that is happening. So bring in the echidna, take the higher ground, take that level of higher consciousness, be on your eagle's perch, be sitting on the mountain, but in a state of compassion and not like shut down. Still got to be compassion, so you feel that, you're sitting in your compassion within that. And then we got the Undine that came through for the last card. And oh my goodness, I've just been talking for 40 minutes. Oh, I'm going to start running energy in a minute. So the last thing was the Undine. And so the Undine is really saying that there's a deep clearing that's going on in the physical body and also on the emotional body. And what a lot of that clearing is clearing that's deep subconscious pain that's held in the psyche. So it's pain that's you may be feeling in your physical body, or you may be feeling emotionally, that's actually coming from deep within your psyche, that you're not aware consciously of what it is. So The end eye is coming through to really support clearing that, very much at a cellular level. So there's a purification of the body going on here. And again, that's been a big theme this whole week. I feel actually for the last couple of months, a lot of stuff I feel coming out of the physical body, so that, because again, the ascension process has to come through your physical body. That's why we have a physical body, right? Because the manifestation process has to go from the invisible to the visible, and it's the conduit for that is your energy system, which includes your physical body. So there's a lot of understanding and teachings around that manifestation process, and understanding that magic manifestation process, because really what we're here on this planet to do is to manifest. That's why we're on this planet right now, right? Which is all part of our ascension journey. But this is the planet where we get to co-create and manifest, and that means take things from the invisible and bring them into the visible. And I know you've heard me say this, and I'll keep on saying it because it's so important, that a lot of spiritually aware people really struggle with that, because there's been some deep programming around money, around abundance, around manifestation. Ultimately, because I feel that once light workers clear that coding within their system, they are so powerful, because they got full alignment. So the majority of the population struggle to connect up spiritually, but you guys can do that. You do that, or you're aware of that process. So it's really about bringing that down, and that means really fully bringing it, and that means bringing it into the physical body. So yeah, there's so much work, I feel, that as spiritually aware people, it's so important that we need to do around clearing programs around manifestation. Not even, I mean, obviously our ability to manifest, but actually even wanting to manifest. I actually feel a lot of you don't even want to manifest. There's a fear of actually manifesting, and the implications of what that means, and even being seen for being abundant, and having wealth and prosperity in your life. Even that, a lot of it's subconscious, some of it you may be aware of, but I feel that until you start to really clear those codes within you, your service work to a certain degree is halted. Because birthing new earth and living as a sovereign being and living as a divine being means also the total embodiment of your abundance codes and the total ability to manifest. Okay, so that was 3 quarters of an hour. It's just important. I think probably I just needed to share that. As I said, it's been a kind of theme all week, and things just keep popping out of my mouth, and then I thought, right, okay, and then it comes out again, and it's not like I kind of plan to say this, but it just kind of pops out my mouth, so I just kind of go with the flow on that. But probably sharing the manifestation piece, because of all the money issues that are going to come up, which actually, thinking about it, is a really, really such a perfect opportunity for each one of us to really examine those beliefs that we have around money, and the programmings that we have around abundance, and the programs that we have around manifestation. Just as what's happened with COVID, was really supporting us to clear a lot of stuff around our health and our ability to heal ourselves, and the codes around that. And so what's this next kind of wave coming in now is supporting us, to clear. So any triggers around lack, around not enough, all of that. Because remember, we are having to decode 3D patterning, a 3D matrix coding system that kept us so small, so locked, so disempowered, right? That that is not going to shift unless you shift it, and unless you make conscious choices in the moment every day to clear the patterning. But you first got to see the patterning, own that patterning, and then make a conscious choice to clear that patterning and then hold that new patterning. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. Okay, so let me share the essences for those of you who've got the Light Body Kit. We've got Moonstone, we've got Aventurine, we've got Dragon Power, we've got Gold, we've got Saturn, Water, Violet, and Dodecahedron. Okay, so I'm just Angela, just checking everything's okay. Just give me thumbs up. Make sure. Oh, actually, Angela, I'm going to ask you to speak for the group. Is there any questions that just came up for you in what I just shared then? Anything came up for you at all? And I'll just answer that, because probably if something came up for you, it would have come up for the group. The other thing we could do is inside circle any questions from what I've said. If you want to go deeper into that, if you've got any questions about that, just use our circle community for that. We could have maybe some really good conversations around that, which I feel is going to support everybody, because the more you shift within yourself and share, it kind of solidifies it more for you, and we kind of create a really, really a stronger energetic field around us through it. And that's really important, and that was one of my things when I really wanted to birth the New Earth collective, our community, was so that we had a place that you could share with each other. I mean, really, it's a community for you guys, right? To share with each other, support each other, and to stay, to keep that positivity, that big vision, so that if anyone starts to fall down some sort of rabbit hole, we can quickly scoop them back up, and we can, support each other to keep moving forward, because this is it now. This is it. We are in it right now. We're the ones going to be birthing this, and there's some amazing projects and some amazing communities springing up that are being birthed from all the decay and the collapse that is happening, that is occurring around. So the more we can build a community and support each other and share ideas, and create that real strong positive vibe, the stronger it kind of crystallizes. It's like we create our own hologram within that then creates, it's just so much easier then. So much easier. So although I'm holding a space for you guys, the more you can hold a space for each other, the more accelerated it is for all of us. Just have a look what Angela said. Now it's not clicking on the... Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, fear of abundance, fear of supporting others, and the responsibility. Yeah, the responsibility. That's a big thing. That's a really big thing, and you know, it's the whole leadership, and what does it mean to be a leader? But it's a leader in the new earth way, right? Not a leader in the old way. And I think that we're just having to also clear a lot of codes around what does it actually mean to be a leader. What does it actually mean to be a leader? So yeah, there is so much going on in that. But to say there is so much opportunity. I mean, the amount of shifts and the amount of new codes and clearings that you can do right now, and the impact and the service that you can bring through you to really accelerate the birthing of new earth is huge. It's huge. Because now is the time. Now is a time when everything is collapsing. Now is a time when everyone else is like all stuck in the fear and stuck in the, the control and the contraction. That is a very time for each one of us to be expanding. That is a time for each one of us to be stepping into our power more, into our sovereignty, and be leading from that level. Yeah, and that's and again, of course it's challenging. Of course it's challenging because there's everything going on here, and you're having to do something completely different. Step out on a limb. Take that leap of faith and trust. And so that's what you've come here for. So it's truly such an amazing opportunity. It really is. But I know it really doesn't feel like it at times. It really does. And again, that's what I feel the New Earth community is, there for. So that you guys can support each other as much as possible. In an empowered way, not in a disempowered way, but in an empowered way, and support others, when they're having a little bit of a wobble, to maybe see a higher perspective on things through that.